FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, well shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divide, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, that was really cool, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is the smoke-shrouded K-Dot. And this episode, hey, we finally have a draft class. The draft occurred, and we got 5 new players from it. We've also got some undrafted free agents that we're going to touch on as well. And then the Commanders and District of Columbia government have reached an agreement on building a stadium over at the RFK site. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that, our thoughts and reactions to all of it. We got the common mailbag as we always do. But before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
All right. It's about to be round 2 of boredom before football season. Draft is about to be over, even though we're still going to be pouring over this stuff. But stick with us, guys. It'll be worth it. And let's share this shit.
Share this shit. Tony, that long-awaited history of the Commanders of the franchise episode's fast approaching. Just a heads up. So, but before we get to that, we got a draft class to talk about. So this is the 2025 Washington Commanders draft class. In the first round, we took Josh Conerly Jr. on Thursday night, tackle out of Oregon. We will talk about what we think about that because he played left tackle over there. Is he going to play left tackle for us? Right tackle? We'll talk about that. Then we got Trey Amos in the second round, 61 overall. Seemed like a pretty nice value based on mock drafts and stuff like that, getting him from Ole Miss. Then we got Jaylin Lane in our backyard, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, 4th round. Pick 128 overall. Kain Medrano, linebacker out of UCLA, 6th round, 205 overall. And Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who a lot of people love, K-Dot, running back out of Arizona. Only played 1 game at Arizona. 7th round, pick 245. But that's what it says. He's from Arizona, even though he did some work over in New Mexico and Alabama State. So with that, why don't we go ahead and begin with the first round pick, Josh Conerly Jr. Once again, 29 overall. People were thinking, okay, Josh Simmons on the board. That's the natural name that belongs to the Washington Commanders. Jahad Campbell slips. Our live stream reaction, we were like, oh, maybe we should just get Jahad Campbell. But we end up with Josh Conerly Jr. So, K-Dot, your thoughts on the pick?
All right. So, like, night of, it was like one of those things where it was, hey, we're never going to have a fault with them building the trenches, right? Like, in default, just build the trenches. Now, Conerly was somebody we might have had a blip on compared to like the Josh Simmons when it came to the tackle position, but not complaining at all, especially not complaining after I've done the deep dive and start watching a lot of his tape. And you're like, we might have ourselves a football player. It's dope. Like, and you see I mean, of course, you got to take everything with a grain of salt as far as the draft videos and everything, but they seem very, very high on their guy. We saw the piece of paper that Cliff Kingsbury left inside Adam Peter's office. He really wanted the Oregon guy. And look, as far as what it does, as far as position flex for us is like, look, I haven't heard, have you heard them say outright what's happening as far as who's playing what?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. And I still think it's something that they're going to probably watch and see how it develops come training camp or whatever else. But they got some guys that can do some stuff. I look at Josh Conerly, if you're looking at like what he was able to do at college playing left tackle and doing a damn good job at left tackle, he's already in is probably your best swing tackle, being able to play right, left, whatever, as far as if something were to happen to Laramie Tunsil. So I love that aspect of it. We were all ready to go into this season with Brandon Coleman at right tackle anyway, but we know if it was up to us, he'd be playing inside, which it looks like they'll be able to do that to have Conerly play on the outside. But as far as athleticism, footwork, he's got it. 6'4", 6'5", depending on where you talk about, 315 pounds. Great footwork, great athleticism. There are some times where he just gets beat. I know that I think it was the Mike Green tape. And
the one rep at the Senior Bowl, yeah.
That it was like, oh, that's a little rough. But beyond that, if you look at, it's not at all what you see on the tape when you're looking at what he did when he played in Oregon. It just looks like a dude that has just not just raw talent, but even if I'm looking at just from a football IQ standpoint, one of the struggles I had last year when looking at Brandon Coleman was every once in a while you just saw you need more time. You just need more time. You need more time. The football IQ is not necessarily where you want it to be. That is not what I could say on the Josh Conerly tape so far. Like with Coleman, you just saw the raw athleticism, but he was really raw as a prospect. I don't see that with Conerly. He's not as athletic as Coleman, but god damn if he doesn't make up for it in his football IQ from what I can tell.
Yeah, and actually on that note, K-Dot, the Commanders once again finishing number 1 in raw athletic score with their draft class. They did last year. They're doing it again this year. So clearly these guys are looking for athleticism across the board. Learning more about Josh Conerly Jr. Love the footwork. And now I'm not as well-versed in offensive line play as others will be, but even I can tell that the guy's got good footwork. So if I can tell, it's a good sign. So really like that. And it seems like the knock on him is, hey, if he's going against these like ultra strong, like he goes against strong people all the time, but like the true bull rushers may be a problem now. Still needs to improve the core strength is what people are saying he needs to do. But in terms of his actual technique, in terms of, once again, his footwork, in terms of being a high IQ player, of knowing what to do, when to do it, etc., that stuff is taken care of. And he is an athlete on top of that. So it's not just we got a high IQ guy, but he's not an athlete. He is athletic. He's only 21 years old. Only 21 years old. So he's going to grow into this as well. So strength being a thing that he needs to improve on is absolutely fine at 21 years old. So very excited about the potential that he has, and think he's a starter right away, like we were talking about in the live stream, K-Dot.
No doubt. And the thing is, like, you want the IQ. He has the size, and you've seen the raw athletic scores. So it's like he just needs more reps to get that core strength up, and it's going to come over time. At least that's the hope. The only thing is that you don't want to see is like, all right, he gets bull rushed a few too many times and loses confidence. But I don't think that that's something you necessarily have to worry about when you got a guy with that high IQ. You just see it on tape. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. It's just every once in a while, like in that rep against Mike Green, he just gets overpowered. And I'll live with that. If long term, I know he's going to be a stronger guy who's going to be as smart as he is. I need more smart guys on that offensive line.
Once again, excellent in pass protection. 523 dropbacks last season that he was a part of, and only 1 sack allowed. And so he is, I mean, when it comes to that, he is a pro. So it's good to have him over here. We'll see how he does in the run game. I'm curious to see what Cliff Kingsbury's got cooked up for us this coming season. We'll talk about Jacory Croskey-Merritt a little bit later. But curious to see how he does over there. I'd anticipate he does pretty well. And current speculation, K-Dot and I have, and many others, right tackle. And that he would be the starting right tackle. And if Laramie Tunsil went down, he'd be the left tackle. I do recall either Dan Quinn or Adam Peters saying, we brought Laramie Tunsil in for a reason. He is the left tackle. So that is solidified. We would assume that he goes to the right side with Brandon Coleman. Left guard, right guard. We'll see about that.
If they put Conerly at guard and left Coleman at right tackle based on anything they see come training,
with that too.
I totally understand it. Yeah. I don't mind these guys learning at different positions on the offensive line. I know you should find your position, be good at it, and just rock with it. But I do like when these guys are like coming up to learn as much as they possibly can. I just think it's always better.
Yeah, it's just mouth-watering prospect with Laramie Tunsil and Brandon Coleman on that side, though. Just with the size
no doubt.
They have. Oh my lord!
Yeah, that would be absolutely sick. And then looking at some of the running backs or some of the speeches we might have and certain things that Cliff might do, and as long as they got enough footwork and enough power to get stuff done initially, the quick game, the quick pass game stuff, that could be really, really interesting from these guys.
See, the natural transition, well, actually, the structured transition is Trey Amos, but based on what you're talking about, we could just go Jaylin Lane because he is. Let's go Jaylin Lane because we're talking about the offense right now. This is a 4th-round pick. We'll get to the 2nd-round pick and Trey Amos right after this. Jaylin Lane is a pretty versatile piece on this offense already. Plays a lot in the slot, but guess what? Take some snaps in the backfield, take some snaps at Z. So all of a sudden you can move this guy around. A comp actually is Debo, obviously not as strong, weighs less, but like in terms of what you can do with the guy, it seems like he could almost be an understudy to a Debo Samuel, and you could use him however you want to. What were your thoughts on this pick here, K-Dot? Speedster.
I'm looking more Deshaun Jackson. I know that's fucking crazy to say, but
I have a Deshaun Jackson skins jersey. He was my favorite player for the longest time. I just couldn't say it because he was with the Eagles.
He was never that for me, but I did enjoy his time. But definitely a guy that, like, if you were to classify anything as far as wide receiver, you'd say, all right, undersized, right? Because sub 200 pounds, sub 6 feet tall. Wait, what is he? It's right there. 5'10", 186. But this is the dude that if you're going to be watching anybody's tape, he excites you. He's the one of everybody's like, I like that. I think absolutely off the get-go, you have your punt and kick returner built in, period, point blank.
Just return to punt for a touchdown. Yep.
Just do that, guy. And then outside of that, what it is that they can figure out on packages for Cliff on offense, I just think that we keep talking about guys that have the home run ability. There's your dude. There's your dude that could take it to the house. Okay. And you love to fucking see it. He's just explosive. That's probably the word that you think about when you watch the tape more than any other. It's just he's fucking explosive. I think that immediately he's contributing to the team on special teams, which is always something that I thoroughly appreciate. As long as we're going to be kicking the football stupidly, then we got to be able to be good at everything around that aspect of it. And Jaylin Lane, I think, does that in spades. But also, when you look at this wide receiver class, it is one that going into this draft, a lot of people were saying was fairly weak. And the thing is that you look around the draft, you're just looking to see where it is you can maximize as far as just pure raw talent and see what you can do to kind of coach them up, or what kind of packages and schemes you can kind of move up for somebody. I don't see a lot of the receivers here being guys that you just plug and play and be like, he'll figure it out. Wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. But I think Lane's speed and Cliff's desire to really package things could be an amazing prospect. He brings speed to a team who, with all the free agent signings that we've had over last year, all the guys, your Luke McCaffrey's, he has something that none of them have. It's just he's explosive on a level that none of these guys are.
Can't teach speed.
No.
You either have it or you don't. This kid has it. Ran a 4.34 40. That's fast. And again, having someone that can stretch the field, and it seems like he would probably do it from the slot based on his comfort level. We'll see what we actually coach him up to do. But having someone that can stretch the field, one, the idea of Jaden Daniels, his ball placement, putting one over the top to this kid is awesome. And the other is it opens up the middle of the field for other players, right? Yep. And we've already got another stretcher in Noah Brown, who obviously is not as fast, but is a big target, led the NFL in pass interference yardage gained before he got hurt. So you've now got 2 different field stretchers in different ways, one with the size in Noah Brown and one with the speed in Jaylin Lane. K-Dot, I was thinking about you when this pick was made, because the comp was Debo, but again, just a lighter version. And you have talked about Debo being most effective on a snap count or pitch count, right? You want to utilize him and not have him do too much, because then it could get him exhausted and it won't be as effective usage of a Debo Samuel. With a guy like Jaylin Lane, I was thinking, hey, I think K-Dot gets his wish over here with a guy like this that can do some of the things that Debo can do, giving Debo some rest and giving this guy some playing time.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I see that this is, if there's anything, and this team likes to have their veterans come in and kind of lead what it is the rookies are doing. Debo, if he feels like being a fucking mentor, he's got his guy, right? And as far as I would say that what I see with Debo, I see the comps, because Jaylin Lane is just somebody you want to get the ball in his fucking hands. So if you get the ball in his hands, he can do a lot of shifty stuff. I see him much more as an over-the-top deep threat than I look at when it comes to Debo. I just think that the packages you might have them in on might be a little different. Just based on what it is, I would assume Cliff Kingsbury is probably going to do with him. But yeah, there definitely some overlap, and I wouldn't mind Lane for what I saw on his tape. I wouldn't mind him being more the physical. This is what it is that Debo Samuel is doing. So maybe it's something he grows into over time. But to me, it's just he's a dude that not a lot of people are going to put their hands on. Yeah. If I was going to look at that. And a Debo is the exact opposite for me. That's the
fair enough. Yeah. And again, he can be used in the return game. So, I've mentioned that Debo can be used in the return game because that's how San Francisco used him. But if you want to save Debo and you're like, hey, we just want to use him on offense and we want to use him in these ways, well, Jaylin Lane can be a returner for you, right? And so then you can save Debo that way. Any final thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, Jaylin Lane's got to work on some of the physicality stuff. If you're going to press him, there's some issues. If you're you can knock him off his track. And as far as just from a blocking, There's some room.
Deshaun Jackson wasn't a great blocker. I'll tell you that.
That's my comp. That's why he's my comp. Like that's the reason that's the comp that I'm making is there are some aspects of his game where I'm like, all right, if you want to see playing time on this particular team with what I know they like from their wide receivers, just some stuff to work on. But as far from an explosive standpoint, I'm all the way the fucking.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, now it is a bit strange that I think he only had 2 catches on throws over 20 yards in 2024. Bit strange, but we have a guy that can definitely make that throw if we want to. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go back to the second round now. Let's go to Trey Amos, who is a corner that honestly team did not expect to be there. So the moment we got on the clock at pick 61, you may have noticed that the pick was in awfully quick. And that's because this coaching staff loves Trey Amos. We help fill a need at corner that we have discussed in the past. And Joe Witt Jr. gets a guy that can play any type of coverage. K-Dot, you talk about man, you talk about cover 2, cover 3 quarters. He can do it all. What are your thoughts on Trey Amos?
Yeah, kind of like what I said as far there'll be something different. As far as cornerbacks in this particular draft, there was no shortage of slot corners. There's no shortage of guys that have experience in it. There's no shortage of guys that you actually say when you look at the tape, like, holy shit, that might be something special. As far as dudes that flash anything special on the outside, that list gets very, very limited when it came to this draft. Trey Amos being one of those guys. It's the exact opposite. He has limited reps as far as the slot compared to being on the outside. This is a dude that he comes in, has a ton of physical tools at his disposal, but his size, coupled with his speed, coupled with his physicality, motherfucker likes to tackle. Like, that's what you want from this. And he's got that swag to him. You like seeing that, young son. You like seeing that, Trey. Like, that's what this dude looks like he's going to be somebody that comes in there and kind of, where you had Marshawn Lattimore had a bit of the attitude a bit at the end of the season. I think it was like the flag, or at least there was some sort of skirmish, if I'm remembering correctly. At the end. Trey Amos feels like a dude that brings some sort of attitude to that secondary that I think is like the one component that might be missing from these guys. Like, they're all stand-up professionals. Benny St. Juice tried to be that guy, but then he got burnt too many times. So it's like, we don't trust you. You can't have that.
Right.
Trey seems to have that perfect sort of balance as far as like what it is you kind of want with that swag. You look at like that Cowboys secondary, the Dan Quinn and Joe Witt had, swagged out. You look at that Legion of Boom in Seattle, swagged the fuck out. So like, I love what this means for the team. I love what this means as far as attitude. And we got a dude. Mikey can go play back on the inside.
That's one of the best points of this pick is, first off, we trust Mikey Sanders still, and he did a great job playing on the outside because we needed him to. We needed a rookie to go on the outside when he was used to playing in the slot, and he did well. So that just speaks volumes of the football player we have in Mike Sanders still. Now he gets to play where we drafted him to play. Right. And so now you can feel comfortable with that. Noah Igbinoghene is suddenly a depth piece, and Jonathan Jones can play anywhere you need him to. Right. Go. So like, it's exciting in terms of the versatility it allows and offers for the rest of this secondary. Let's talk about Trey Amos, because when I was reading through his draft profile, then you turn on some of the highlights of the tape. You're like, oh, it's fun. Like exactly what K-Dot is saying. I'm a big fan of the Beast, the Dane Brugler piece that he puts out every single year. I'm going to read a couple things that highlight what K-Dot was mentioning. One is quality play strength and does not get punked by receivers. Speaking to K-Dot's point about the attitude, violently attacks and defeats stock blocks. Plenty to like about effort in run game. Has a little extra in the tank to close out throws, aggressively plays through hands to turn catches into incompletions. This guy is going to fit in and be a commander very, very quickly. Right. And with his size, you can put him on the bigger receivers, right? Marshawn's already physical. That was the reason, one of the reasons I like the Marshawn Lattimore trade. I didn't because of the hamstring, and I'm just like, I don't know if that's going to hold up. But a reason I liked it is because his attitude was different from everybody else's.
Right.
And you need a guy like that, a little bit of crazy. We talked about it even when the trade was made. You need a little bit of crazy when you're like CB1. And Trey Amos, to me, has that sort of CB1 potential where it's a little more muted, but he knows he's that dude, and he'll still let you know. So I'm very excited to see how that translates, especially with the guy in Joe Witt, who I trust with secondary pieces. right? We've given him Mike Sanders still, and he's been great, right? And you give him Quan Martin, turns him into even more of a ball hawk. Like, I like giving a guy I trust pieces like this. And so I'm excited to see what Joe Witt does with this. And Trey Amos did himself a lot of favors last season. He balled out, man. 16 passes deflected, led the SEC, first team all SEC, led the team in picks with 3. Like, he's a player.
Yeah, the only thing that he has that you'd say, like, as much as his physicality, he does miss a tackle here and there. And outside of that, like, this is a guy who, if you start him at outside pretty early on, you're going to get a few holding or pass interference penalties as he's trying to figure out his way through the league and what he can and can't get away with. But I take that all day, every day. This is a guy that I see, like, early on starting in a rotation sort of thing. I like that Jonathan Jones pickup a lot more than I think a lot of other people might have.
I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
So I would have no problem looking at our day one starters being a Jones, a Lattimore, and you got Sanders still on the inside, and you start introducing Amos and certain dime or nickel packages, and then before mid-season, the end of the year, that's your starting outside corner. Like, I'd love for that to be the development of him. And I think that if you do it and you do it the right way, if there's anything that I trust, is that it's this particular group and what it is they can do when it comes to secondary, or when it comes to players in the secondary. The talent, the cupboard has been a bit bare. I know that last year they had to figure out what it is they had with Emmanuel Forbes before they gave up on it. Once they realized it wasn't going to work, they gave up on it. And it's good to see as we're going to look through everything that they've done over the course of this offseason, everything they've done in the sense of this draft and the undrafted free agents. Everybody keeps talking about pass rush. One of the best things you can do to help out a pass rush is get some fucking corners that can cover. You get some corners that can cover that physicality that's up front. I'll tell you right now, you look at where I think we finished in the league, top 15, it was like 11th in sacks, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Which, come on, guys. Like, nobody was heralded as far as what we were looking at edge, and everybody was kind of nervous about it. But I'm just saying, if there was anything I could change about that team last year, it would have been the secondary. And if the secondary would have done just a smidgen of a better job, you're looking at an easily top 10, maybe top 5 defense if they just had the ability to get some coverage sacks.
Yeah. I mean, I also cannot remember last season when, or even 2 seasons ago, Emmanuel Forbes, as a rookie in training camp, had a pick 6, right? Yeah. Reporters said, hey, he had a pick 6. And our response was, who the fuck threw the football? Because we don't trust any of the quarterbacks we have, right? So we were just like, okay, cool, he did it. But our quarterbacks are ass, so it doesn't matter. It maybe doesn't mean that he's good. It maybe just means the offense sucks. Well, now we know that Jaden can place a ball wherever he wants to. So I'm so curious to see, once training camp starts and this offense goes against this defense, what we're hearing about Marshawn Lattimore, what we're hearing about Trey Amos. Like, are they making plays? Because I think if they are against a first-team offense, there's a lot to be excited about. So that's something I'm looking out for, is do these guys break up passes that Jaden's throwing? Because then I'm like, oh boy, like, I'm excited for
that's what you want. Iron sharpening iron, man. Like, that's what you're in that particular situation. I think that we're finally starting to see, after the success we had year one, to see that these guys had, I'm not going to say a full complement of draft picks. It was only 5. Let's add some more pieces to this thing. Let's see what some of these rookies that we had last year could do with a little more space for playing time. And let's get rolling. I want to see what this coaching staff has in store, man. If you look at overall what we saw from the rookies last year, smashing success in my fucking opinion. So let's keep it fucking going. And I love the idea you get somebody this young and Trey Amos to go up against Jaden Daniels in practice. Goddamn well, if Trey picks off Jaden's going to hear about it. Goddamn well, Jaden's going to be like, all right, motherfucker, I got you. That's what I want to hear coming out of fucking training camp.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, and that's the other thing, just a quick heads up, guys. If you hear Jaden is struggling in camp, I do not anticipate this, just to be clear, but if you hear that, there's a bit of a rough patch, I think it's a good thing. I honestly think that's a good thing. I think that means the defense is going to be very good, because now I trust the quarterback is really good. And you haven't heard anything about Jaden so far. He's been quiet. I actually have a pretty cool story if we get to after the pod on Jaden that I heard from somebody that met him. So we can maybe get to that later.
No snitching.
What'd you say?
No snitching. No pillow talk.
In that case, I can't say, but it's a cool story. You will love it. I'll tell you separately, Kate. Any final thoughts on Trey Amos before we move on to Kain Medrano, the 6th-round pick?
Nope. Very happy with the guys we've talked about so far.
And same here. Let's move over to that 6th-round pick. Once again, that is Kain Medrano. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. 6'3", 222 out of UCLA. Well respected over there. Had a couple picks. Also forces fumbles. So an impactful player. Projects to be on special teams, K-Dot. It seems like more of a Larry Izzo pick if it was anybody.
No doubt. Our racially ambiguous Kane is amazing. If on tape. In this, do you know what he is? No, you don't. Look at that face.
This can't be how we begin talking about Kain Medrano. Go ahead.
Look at that hair.
But let the team at picks, K-Dot. Talk about that.
Like, dude, my favorite phone call I heard at anybody, the dude that was just eager to be there, not to mention we have a connection as far as our linebacker room and as far as the coaching when it comes to Ken Norton and our guy, Kain Medrano. And it's also somebody in the undrafted free agents we got to talk about is another UCLA guy. Now, Kane, from what you could see, is one of those dudes that you want to see at linebacker, which is a try-hard. He tries his ass off with everything. Is he sound at linebacker? No, he's not. But this is a dude that could basically do. If not mistaken, am I getting him confused with somebody else? This is the guy that started at wide receiver when he entered college, right?
Oh, is that right? I don't think I knew that.
I believe so. But he plays that sort of hybrid thing. Like he has yeah, if you can find it. I feel like this is something that I knew.
Yes, he did. Yeah, committed to the Bruins as a wide receiver. Yeah,
wide receiver. The motherfucker is a coverage guru, and you can see it when he's playing. Like, you can see some things Bobby Wagner just can't do anymore. Kane can. But it doesn't mean that he's projected to do anything other than what I'm assuming is the try-hard nature of what he's doing on special teams is going to work. Has he had a missed tackling problem? Absolutely. He's still learning the position. But what you can't train is that fucking effort and his instinct. He has football instincts. And to me, even if he's not a standout on special teams, it's just more reps to get his ass tackling shit. Because I think that what you end up seeing with him is as the season progresses, and if you know you're going to have maybe a Luvu coming after quarterback, a BWAC coming after quarterback, depending on what you go as far as the secondary, I'd love to see a Kain Medrano out there on a 3rd down in coverage against a tight end or against somebody else, potentially going to go. I see him being a very, very package-specific guy, but one of those dudes you look like are usually those unheralded linebackers just give a fuck. Now, you're Zach Bond in Philadelphia, right? Like, that's what you want. You want those guys that work their asses off and show through the locker room, everything else. This is what we want. When you hear this dude talk about his game, when you see him play, outside of the missed tackles, it's everything you really want in a commander.
Yeah, and I got to say, he also athlete. You talk about the raw athletic score on him. It's up there because he's, again, 6'3", 222, and he can jump. By the way, if you look at a couple of his picks, he is in the air. Like, I would think it's safe, but it's not. What'd you say?
How many wide receivers do you know play linebacker?
Well, that's a good point. Okay, yeah, because it shows, and you're just like, and then even after the catch on the picks, you're like, oh, he's got some moves.
He's going to the house.
You know, so like there is that level of athleticism to him. How will it work on our defense? Not sure, but like K-Dot was saying, from a special team standpoint. And even it speaks to the work ethic. Now that I've learned he was a wide receiver, moves to linebacker and gets drafted as a linebacker. That doesn't just happen. Like, he clearly worked at it and is improving at it. And something I noticed, he forced fumbles 3 straight years.
I'm sorry.
That's mind blowing. No. Go ahead. That's mind blowing.
I was going to say, my bold prediction out of all these guys, I will guarantee you by week 8, this guy has a fumble recovery on a kickoff or punt easily. The reason you see him miss some tackles is because he's always looking for the football. Like, that motherfucking peanut punt, he's running around with his goddamn fit like a video game character.
Did you see the one where he literally snatched it from the quarterback?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
The dude's an athlete, man. He's an athlete with instinct. Like, that's the thing. Is like, if they get into him, like, hey, it's good that you want to punch the ball out. It's good that you want to do that, but you need to make sure you're making that tackle and you're making it surely. If you can get the fundamentals into him, I don't think you're going to see it's a physicality thing that makes him miss tackles. I don't think he's got to learn the position just a little bit more and know what to do from a fundamentally sound standpoint. He's still learning the position, like I said, but you can't teach that pure athleticism that he has. And if you watch the tape, like I said, there are holes in his game, no doubt. But are they holes that can be fixed up with football IQ? 100%. The physicality and the try hardness is there.
Play like a commander. He fits the bill. Plays like a commander. Any final thoughts here, K-Dot, before we move on to the 7th round pick that has excited a lot of people?
Nah, I think we're good.
All right. Well, then let's move on to that 7th round pick, 245 overall, Jacory Croskey-Merritt. Now, when I first saw this name, I'm not going to lie, I was like, who? That is not somebody that I had heard of. And we talked about any number of running backs, K-Dot. So I was just like, who is this guy? And then you dive in to the story and you're like, oh, well, that's interesting. He only played one game last season because the NCAA came back and said he was actually ineligible for the season. 13 carries, 160 yards, touchdown, looked great in it. And it was like, okay, so now he's a bit older, 6-year senior. So he's got some tread on the tires, but in the last year, he hasn't played. Then he goes to the East-West Bowl, Shrine Bowl, whatever it's called. He's the MVP over there. So he's maintained being in shape all the while, right? And then you actually watch him play. His vision, we don't have that. I'm just going to be very blunt, at least from what I've seen with Brian Robinson, with Austin Eckler, I think Chris Rodriguez might be the closest one with it, but this guy has really nice vision and hits the hole pretty quickly once he sees it. He's got a bit of a home run threat to him. As I learned more about him, K-Dot, 17 rushing touchdowns his last full season with New Mexico. Wow. Like, he's got a nose for the end zone. He breaks tackles, and he's got that vision, man. That vision is hard to teach. I really, really like this pick, especially at the end of the 7th round, projected in the 5th. Go ahead.
One cut and go guy. He's got the vision. He knows exactly where he wants to go with the football. Decisive as all get out. What that means as far as at the National Football League level, we'll have to see. But he definitely has that, hey, I'm not fucking around with where I want to go. This is where I'm going. I'm not wasting any time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now. That's something you kind of might be a criticism of Brian Robinson, who every once in a while looks like he's running with his eyes closed and just want to bulldoze anybody that's in his fucking way. Look, this isn't Travion Henderson. He's not a home run hitter, right? Once again, if I'm looking at anybody in this draft class so far that I think is the closest to a closer, or it's a closer, it's going to be Jaylin. But this guy, I see him looking at, we talked about what it is the philosophy will be at running back if we were to look at it. We were looking at the Dylan Sampsons and the other guy. And Dylan, I'm so sorry, buddy, you're going to Cleveland.
2 picks before the 4th rounder.
These motherfuckers doubled up on quarterback
and running back.
And I'm like, God damn it, Dylan. I think my prediction is gone to shit.
And in both situations, the second one they took in the double dip might be better than the first one.
So
just what a franchise. Anyway, go ahead.
I hate them so much. Dylan, you deserve better, brother. I'm sorry, man. I might have jinxed you.
Probably both Dylans, actually. Like, what the hell? You just
so fucked up. Look, he's not necessarily bringing in a whole lot new to the position. It's not like he's that home run breakaway speed that maybe you were looking for to be a change of pace when it comes to Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler. But what I do think you see in this guy is somebody that might, coming out of college, might be better than what it is that Brian Robinson could do, might be better than what Brian Robinson could do right now, at least got fresher fucking tires to do what it is that Brian Robinson did, and is a guy that if you're looking at from a standpoint of who's going to get what contract and when, I love you, B-Rob, but this might be your replacement come one day.
It's possible. I mean, there are a lot of running backs that come in the 7th round or are undrafted, and they do well immediately. So when
this is one of those guys.
This is one of those guys, especially with the vision that he possesses. So, I mean, heck, Alfred Morris's rookie year, who was Alfred Morris? But he just started doing well in preseason. Next thing you know, he's our starter. No, come on. He played well in preseason.
Pumpy breaks.
Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round pick.
Okay, cool. I'm just saying, as far
I'm not calling him Alfred. I'm just naming people.
I get it, but you're saying an Alfred Morris and a Mike Shanahan zone running scheme. You're talking about Isaiah Pacheco with Patrick Mahomes
running
and
backs
Andy
that
Reid.
had a chance in that scheme.
I'm just saying. Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
Morris was perfect.
He was. He was awesome. Perfectly. Awesome. Still love him. Still
he never
underrated.
did what Clinton Portis did with the early Clinton Portis.
I don't know. Ran for 200 yards week 17. You tell me. Division clinching game. I was there. You were there. Yeah,
I love Alf, man. I think he's supremely underrated. I love Alf, but I'm just saying, pump the brakes. I just think if you're looking at running back and the way the league treats running backs right now, it is definitely a position that's undervalued, whether or not you think that's a good thing or a bad thing or worthwhile or whatever it is. I just think he could be a contributor. I'd love to see him in a blowout. I'd love to see him have a preseason for the ages that gives us a goddamn guy in the rotation.
Cannot. I mean, but this is the point I was going to make was we go back to the round 1 pick, right? In Josh Conerly Jr., right? So now you have a guy who is athletic, who has talent, who has good footwork. You've got Laramie Tunsil, Brandon Coleman, probably in a projected pro position, right? What does the offensive line look like? There's a lot more promise with it now. I would argue it's a strength of the team at this point, based on projection, right? We'll see what it actually looks like. But with what we've invested in it, yeah, I think we want it to be a strength. What is that going to do for the running game? And a guy like this who has good vision, I think can thrive in it. That was the point I was attempting to make.
I will not deny that because I think our offensive line looks very decent, especially compared to last year. As far as pass blocking, I do not necessarily know as far as run blocking just yet. But that being said, it will, if you're going to have an offensive line that might be better at pass blocking than they are run blocking, then you know what I need? Running backs with vision.
Another good point. It works both ways.
I'm totally with you. I understand that much. I'm just saying, medium.
Oh, that's fine. Alfred Morris was a great back for us.
I'm not denying that.
Would you? No, I know
that game against the Cowboys, brother.
Amazing.
I was sitting with my girlfriend at the time, her mother's boyfriend, who was from Texas.
Okay.
They left me and him in the house alone to watch this game. And I am struggling, not screaming in his fucking face. Bitch. I would have ruined everything. But you talk about the proudest I might have ever been of myself in any moment was not to rub it in that fucking face. God damn, I remember that game so badly.
I would have been more proud if you did. I was at the game with Bernal. It was, oh my gosh, unbelievable game. The Rob Jackson interception, Romo continues to choke. It was just awesome. It was awesome. Should we get to some undrafted free agents here?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we also picked up some undrafted free agents, and some notable names include, this is highlighted by Josh Taylor, by the way. Shout out Josh Taylor, who's done an awesome job. Not only with this draft, and he goes to the Senior Bowl pretty regularly, but all through, even with the Deebo Samuel trade. So he's done a great job. Robert McDaniel out of Jackson State. We've met with him multiple times. We bring him in as an undrafted free agent safety out of Jackson State. Carlin Vigers? Yeah, Vigers. Vigors. All right. Quarterback out of Louisiana Monroe. He also is brought in. Tim McKay, offensive lineman from NC State. Ricky Barber, defensive tackle, UCF. Jacory Brooks, just brought in within the last hour, wide receiver out of Louisville, according to Mike Garafolo. And Gabe Taylor's the big one for me. Safety out of Rice, who is brother of the late Sean Taylor. Rest in peace, Sean. But having Gabe Taylor here, we talked about it. I think someone in the comment mailbag had mentioned it. I think it was Big Papa. How cool a story that would be, that the fan base would be rooting for him. And here we are. Gabe Taylor is with the Commanders in camp. That's very, very exciting news. It's going to be an awesome story to follow. K-Dot, any other undrafted free agents that you would like to mention as well?
There's two that I want to highlight.
Yeah.
I'll mention one of the two that I want to highlight. The one Ali Cajo, linebacker, UCLA, also played with our guy Kain.
Kain, okay.
Also somebody that Ken Norton knows. I like the doubling up of those two guys.
We did double dip.
So there's that. But another double dip would be the corners, Fintrell Cypress and our guy Carlin Vigors is what I'm calling him.
Okay, we'll go with Vigors. Yeah.
I love those two guys. I like them a lot. So Cypress showed a lot of flashes at Florida State. Probably his best year is 2022, where he was like, I think I have it saved as far as what he was able to do. If you just give me one moment to do a little scrolling. Second team all ACC corner 2022, which is an accomplishment. And they kind of fell off the radar just a little bit. This is another guy that look, when you talk about some of the dudes that were unheralded, that did big things in Seattle, that were unheralded, did big things in Dallas. I'm just saying, keep an eye out. Dude plays damn good physically. He's much more of a zone corner than I've seen him as far as a man corner, which means at least early on he might be getting some reps. In a lot of places, I'd look for him a lot in the preseason, and maybe if he could do the shit in preseason, he becomes one of the rotational pieces of the defensive back. Maybe, but the guy that I'm really interested in is our guy Vigers. All right, this motherfucker right here, well, Louisiana Monroe. Okay, I don't know. I loved his tape. I loved everything I saw. Even that game that Ole Miss had Louisiana Monroe had Trey Amos' Ole Miss.
Yeah.
There was a game that they had against Texas. They lost 52-3 against Texas in that game. So you're like, well, what the fuck? He took care of his job. Okay. He did what he was supposed to do in that
against who, K-Dot?
What's that? What's those
Matthew Golden?
Yeah, there you go. That fucker.
Yeah. First round pick for Green Bay.
I'm just saying he played his ass off. Like that was the game that blew that running back. He ran all over those fuckers. But it was like, and Archie Manning was throwing the football, and it just seemed as though that side of the field.
I think just Arch. If Archie was slinging it around, that'd be bad news for some.
I'm going to tell Arch this. That name's not going to stick. Arch is not going to stick. People are going to call you Archie, or they're going to call you something else. Get used to it, son. Archie. You know, this Arch. I was just saying Arch. It feels awkward. Do you admit it feels awkward?
I just wanted people to know Archie Manning, father of Peyton, wasn't doing that.
I got it. All right.
Yeah, that's
Little Manning didn't throw to his side of the field.
Will Manning's
he didn't throw to his side of the field. And that to me was something. Look, 52-3. But if you watch what he did in that game, it was actually impressive to me.
Kiddo, if I could add on to that, 52-3, and he's still playing his ass off.
Oh yeah,
right. Like anyone, it's human nature to go, this game's over. Like we're down 45. Let's say, like I can just take one rep off. They're probably just running the ball. This guy is still playing his ass off like that. Come on, I think that's a huge positive. That in that kind of blowout, he's still playing and shutting his guy down.
31 targets in 2024 alone. That's it.
Wow.
31 targets his way. That's it. The dude, and another thing, you got a ball in the red zone, one of them jump balls, he coming down with it. Or at least you're going to have your receiver going to have to be strong.
6'1", I want to say, yeah.
The dude, I'm telling you right now, that's the dude that I'm watching out for as far as the undrafted class. I'm like, there's something that might be here. I do think that if you watch the tape here for him, of course, you see he didn't get drafted, so you're going to see some stuff. Also, Louisiana Monroe, not necessarily the most heralded of schools. So none of it played in his favor. Plus, that name's really weird to say. So, like, but watch out. Watch out for that. Watch out for him.
All right, so Carlin Vigers is somebody, or Vigers, sorry, that K-Dot is looking out for along with Cypress. So two corners to look out for. My person to look out for, so Gabe Taylor's the awesome story, and honestly, I do hope he makes the team. It's the other safety, though, when I read about him, Robert McDaniel, that has my wheels turning. So he's 6'2", right? And that's tall. I mean, that's tall for the safety position. And he's got wide range and flexibility over there to be able to make plays. He also, once again, I told you guys I like Dane Brugler with the New York Times, The Athletic, and the Beast. A comp made is to Talanoa Hufanga, who was a name we mentioned in free agency as somebody that would be nice to bring over here, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't, but this guy's comp is him. Now, granted, he's an undrafted free agent, but Hufanga himself was a 5th-round pick. And Adam Peters was a big part of that. So I think he knows what he's looking for. And once again, the point made about Joe Witt and the secondary applies to what K-Dot said about Cypress and Vigers as well as corners. Like, give Joe Witt pieces. Now, these are undrafted versus a 2nd-rounder in Trey Amos. But we don't know what we have until we see it. Tyler Owens last season. Undrafted free agent, makes the team. Awesome story. He deserved it. Everyone rooted for him. Let's see if one of these guys can do it as well. Includes Gabe Taylor. So that's the guy I would highlight, Robert McDaniel. Excited about all these guys, though, K-Dot.
The undrafted free agents I actually like a lot. Trey Rucker, safety, Oklahoma State.
There you go. Another safety.
100 tackles in the Big 12. big, just ready to fucking hit you. He's ready to hit you. I like this. To me, the secondary picks this year, attitude. And that to me is something that need to be injected just a little bit. I like Mikey Sanders still. Feels like a professional, buttoned up guy. He's a University of Michigan man. We need some fun guys. Add to Mike. I think it might bring something out of Mikey. A little trash talk.
I think it will. And him playing in the slot, I think it's coming too, by the way.
Yeah, man. I can just see these dudes, like somebody lay somebody out. And they're like, oh, shit, look at what you did. That, I want to see that. I need to see more of that energy and what it is they're feeling to really, we're commanders.
I think we're going to see it this coming season. I'm excited to see what this defense looks like. Final thoughts, K-Dot, before we move over to stadium talk.
Even if these guys can't contribute immediately on either offense or defense, I'm telling you right now, we're going to have some special teams fucking guru maverick motherfuckers on.
No, it's a beautiful time. It's the second most exciting time of the year for us now, because the most exciting time, based on our projection, could end up being January, February. So we will see what happens over here, but plenty of hope as we enter the training camp period coming up very shortly here. Stadium. We are very likely moving back to DC. The reason I say very likely is because there's still some people saying, hey, they may not get the votes to get this done, but there is an agreement made between the DC government and the Washington Commanders to build this stadium and ideally be cutting a ribbon in 2030. And then there are games there. It's going to be a dome, K-Dot, which is interesting. 65,000 people are going to be able to sit over there, and 8,000 parking spots, I believe, are the high-level details that people you guys need to know. And the stadium, initially, it sounded like it was going to cost about $3 billion. Now it's closer to $4 billion. And so that's a huge jump when we're talking about billions. To the taxpayers in DC, I think it's close to $1 billion now, maybe a bit over. And the team themselves are putting in 2.7, I want to say. Kid, your reaction to the news?
Huge. Now, look, I knew at one point in my life, the idea of a closed roof stadium in Washington, it was enough to make me want to puke. Hated the idea, hated the very concept of it. But then you grow older, and I know that some of our people that listen to this podcast don't like us talking about politics, but here we go. It's coming. Look, I don't know about you, but I'm a bleeding heart liberal that doesn't believe that the public should be paying for shit when it comes to stadiums. That being said, this is a bit of a special case. I know. It's a hometown bullshit thing. I don't like going to Washington, D.C. anymore, if I'm being completely honest. It is not the town that I grew up in. I'm trying to show I don't know how to. Oh, right, here we go.
You got to go more central.
Yeah, my bad.
There you go. I see it.
It's not the town I grew up in. See, there's too many Amish running around in their fucking condos, college education.
No, you have a problem with A-Train. Amit's fine, surely. Oh, well,
Your
no, you said
that.
Actually, when you said that, no, makes sense. Please continue.
Yeah. All right. You guys going to have brunch at the wharf.
Okay. No, I don't do that. Anyway, go ahead. All right.
And then when they going to have a good time, don't even stay in the city. They go to Clarendon. It ain't no goddamn sense.
Okay.
All right. I relent. Look, in a lot of circumstances, you might say that, like, if it was Indianapolis, if it's Green Bay, of course, if it's Charlotte, if it's even the Meadowlands, you can have an argument there as far as what anybody should pay. What I would say is that stadium's going to get used like a motherfucker in D.C., man. There are so many things. This changes the entire landscape and history of the District of Columbia, and I don't think people are giving it enough credit. Taylor Swift can't put Washington, D.C. on a list of tour days because she ain't trying to go to fucking Landover, and there ain't nowhere in D.C. that can fit that fucking show. You just open the door for that. The Beyoncé's who want to come into town to have a big fucking stadium. The festivals, the concerts, the fact that we are now a shoo-in for a fucking Super Bowl if they get this up and running. Anytime we talk about anything from a national standpoint, your World Cups, your Olympics, and we got to look at DC as this, like, it's the nation's capital, but in terms of this, it's the shitty little brother that we got to kind of bring along because there's better infrastructure for shit like that in Baltimore. Are you fucking kidding me? That's bullshit right there, right? So, like, what this means as far as the city, is huge. And I think that when you have this team and a winning product and you got the town behind it, you got the politicians behind it, it feels like something, it feels like a throwback to something that was good and really ours in that city. And like I can't wait to be able to take the Metro to a game and I ain't gotta walk a fucking mile uphill or support some asshole that just wants a new yacht. This is done the right way. They're trying their best to make sure they're handling the lion's share of it, but I cannot deny it's going to be a huge boon to not only the football team but to the nation's capital itself. If they stick to what it is they say they're going to do, 5,000 to 6,000 new homes, 1,500 to 1,800 affordable homes, very important.
Yes,
for people like Amit that don't care about poor people because they care about their property values, and then 2,000 permanent full-time and part-time jobs that Amit will not have because it's for the poor folk in DC, and then 14,000 construction jobs once again, but also the Sportsplex facility, all the money with it. It's good for the city.
It's good for the city. It is very, very good for the city. Thank you for that, Kato. And also, Josh Harris mentioned that he anticipates that this will be like the nicest stadium in the country. And for him to say, that's not a direct quote, but it was something to the effect of, for him to even get anywhere near that type of statement, I trust the guy. I'm excited that he's the one with his name on it. I believe him. I think this thing is going to be awesome. Go ahead, Kato. What'd you say?
I think it'll be awesome. I don't think it'll be the best stadium, but I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah, no, but what I mean is, like, it will be awesome. Right?
No doubt. But like, I don't think LA Stadium is cool.
I know, but also we were in the NFC Championship game last year in a recalibration year. So, like, I don't know what anything means anymore. Like, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's been pulling off miracles, okay? So we'll see.
And also, my grandfather owns a city block about 4 blocks away from this particular development. I ain't complaining.
Yep. There you go. Oh, dude, good for him.
He's dead now.
Oh,
well, selling the
good
property.
For you. All right. So, any final thoughts here before we go to the comment builder?
You said good for me and my dead grandfather. Fuck you too, huh? Now it don't change the fact I don't like the fucker, but you don't get to say that to me.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't like him.
Oh, you piece of shit. You know what, motherfucker? We gonna need a break from each other. How about Nikki plays us a little break from each other?
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
Shit.
I'm sorry, did you have stadium stuff to say, you gentrifier?
No. No. Thank you as always for the intro, Nikki. We begin with Vindo. Shout out Vindo. Now we have two videos. One where we do the mock draft and have the bold predictions for the draft, and then the other one where we actually do the live stream where we pick Josh Conerly Jr. in the first round. There are some comments there as well. So beginning with Vindo in the mock draft one.
Vindo.
Come on, AP. Put the fries in the bag, Chief. Let him cook is the first one. K-Dot, I'm not going to ask you to give a grade because you and I both don't fucking know, right? And anybody that does, it's just like, whatever. But it's an exciting group of players that have been brought in between the draftees and the undrafted free agents.
Like, you can either be one of two types of fans. The ones that are going to be pessimistic about everything. The ones that, oh my God, we didn't get an edge rusher. It's all shit. Or you got the other ones that are like, hey, you can see the prospects and the possibility once it is that your team drafts a player and you're just looking at rose-colored glasses for the most part. What gives me faith is I saw what these fuckers did in year one. I saw what this coaching staff was capable of doing. I saw what this front office was capable of doing. Give them more shots at getting shit done. Just makes me excited.
Yeah. Coach Lombard goes, Simmons is almost universally penned by people I trust as the top tackle in the class. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I talk some shit, but I have real respect for Tunsil, a top 5 pass pro left tackle and top 10 overall tackle in the league. I like Simmons a lot, and I appreciate you guys being schmedium about Allegretti, Wiley, and Coleman, as opposed to assuming everything will be okay and those players will automatically get better. Now get a high A-dot wide receiver, average depth of target, wide receiver to pair with Terry and throw more deep balls. and let's have more fun and fewer 18-play drives through mid-as-fuck players. Best of luck this season. Looking forward to the draft. I am loud and cuss a lot too. Jess, I wouldn't know this, but women get messy as fuck when they are super turned on. I think Howie might be 2-0 over AP in terms of draft trades. Dotson is clearly better than Lattimore until Lattimore gets his legs back, but Tunsil is clearly better than Dotson. I have Cooper DeJean 2 tiers above Sanders still, mostly based on run defense, which you need as the force defender and nickel. AP is wise to avoid calls from Howie. Howie is the better GM. There's a lot in this comment. And I always gave my black players the ball in the red zone. We actually ran some Paul Johnson flexbone, and our 2 best athletes were our A-backs. Our best athletes were Deebo Samuel wingback types, and we faced nothing but single high defenses. But we have 2 high A-dot receivers, Draft Thornton or something. They don't have to be good receivers. They just have to challenge the defense vertically. That's the comment, K-Dot. Your reaction.
Number one, I'm just imagining Coach. Go ahead, little Negro. Run into that hole. You make it across the line. We don't care. Go ahead first. It's the Philadelphia. It's problematic. I agree with so much, and you got to take these fucking little pop shots, Coach. Like
the coach is good at that.
Yeah, I know. It's like all positivity and like, hey, fuck you. It's like, goddamn. All right. I agree with some of the stuff that you're saying. I don't like how often you're referring to our players as mid. There's under no look. I know Jahan Dotson had that play. He had a series of plays in that playoff run in the Super Bowl. Godspeed, kudos to you. On his best day, he couldn't fucking come the fuck on. Like I'm not no. And look, I'm still on board with Ahmed over here, who's now in debt. Like he kind of feel like he's down it, but he convinced me that Marshawn Lattimore was not that great a pick. So yeah, Marshawn's got to convince me too. But under no circumstance could I ever say Jahan Dotson is better than Marshawn Lattimore. I just can't do that. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to say. Do I think that Harry Roseman is better than Adam Peters? Yes. Adam doesn't have anywhere near as much run or level of success as how he does. But I swear to God, if we're back in the fucking NFC Championship game and Trey Amos and Jaylin and all these guys are fucking contributing, I think there might be an argument. So
right.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, I like our guys. You guys got a lot of talent over there. But and we all agreed that like we could me and Ahmed have been very honest about we can upgrade at every position.
Yes.
That does not mean that we're calling all of our players a bunch of mid. And it is okay to not necessarily assume, but make an educated guess that Brandon Coleman, Allegretti, and those guys under year 2 of the same system will get better. Will they be great? Not necessarily. But will they be better? Yes.
Big Papa Grizzly replied to this comment saying that Howie is the better GM after giving AP 1 season is crazy, right? It is a small sample size for Adam Peters so far. Now, Howie Roseman, I think, is known as the best GM in football. I think he's earned that, right? Like, I mean, even when we were saying what's one trade you could make, kid, I was like $500 million, make Howie retire. Just give it to the Eagles and make Howie retire. So we respect Howie Roseman, of course. What I wanted to say is that, Coach, I get your perspective on calling our players mid. What I mean, though, is that your roster, and proved it in the Super Bowl run as well as the Super Bowl itself, is so loaded. Let's just be real. It's called space. That roster is so loaded that relative to it, there are a lot of mid players. I would also venture to guess, Coach, that you would call any number of players in the NFL mid relative to the Eagles roster. It's the same thing that happened when, at least for me, K-Dot, watching Jaden Daniels play a few games, all of a sudden watching the quarterbacks that, so-so, or like are good, went down a peg for me, where I'm just like, oh, okay, they're fine, right? Like before I was like, hey, these are good quarterbacks. And I'm like, like I've seen better. And I think that's probably where, Coach, you're coming from. So I get it. But stop calling our players mid, dude. So that's all I'm going to say.
Please.
Yeah.
As for the women comment, Ahmed, would you like to say anything?
No comment.
I know you have your takes.
No comment. No comment. You've been saying a lot on my behalf, so I anticipate that's just going to
give an opportunity to do what you need to
do. No. I
appreciate
it.
You have an opportunity right now to clear the air, to show that you're a very, very big ally to women and you're punting. I get it.
I am. Yeah. I am in fact punting though. Here is
Ladies
Big
and gentlemen, if you want to be an ally, speak up.
Do you know? Okay. Here's what Big Papa Grizzly said. Stay out of Clarendon. Okay, come on. Stay out of Clarendon. You're going to need some Claritin, and it's a nose and beers. And yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Good one, Big Papa. And then we got, and I don't even go to Clarendon. And here's another one from Big Papa. Kid, I might need you to read this one because there's a jingle, and I don't know the jingle.
Oh, I'm not prepared for this.
So that's the problem. So anyway, I'll let you read that one.
Which video are we doing?
This is the mock draft one.
Mock draft. Okay.
Okay. In the meanwhile, Mr. Payne went.
Mr. Payne.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, Mr. Payne goes running back coming. I feel it first pick. Ended up being the last pick, but we ended up getting a high value out of that once again in Jacory Croskey-Merritt out of Arizona. And yep. Okay, cool. I think K-Dot's got it. Go ahead. It's the big
I don't know exactly what this is referring to, but it could be a jingle. Umana do 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 do. Umana do 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 do. Umana do 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 do. Umana do 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 do.
So I didn't know if it was like just an original, a Big Papa original, or if it was a reference to something, and I always miss the reference, so I figured I'd just give that to you.
I don't have that reference. It sounds vaguely familiar, but not just Umana mana mana mana.
That is honestly fun to say. Jess Santo, to round up this video, and then we go to the next one, goes, pretty interesting first round. I liked the Browns trade. They got a haul. I think a few teams traded away too much to move up. I thought the Giants moved up for Sanders. Wrong on that one, but they still have the weirdest quarterback room in the league. I'm pissed they got Abdul Carter, though. I was praying for Henderson, but you can't knock the Conerly Jr. pick. Our O-line is shaping up nicely. Glad to see it. It was an area of weakness for years when we must protect the chosen one at all costs. I still want Henderson, but I highly doubt he'll be there for next pick. We also need to start addressing the defense as well. Do you guys think they have done enough on defense this offseason so far? What do you guys feel are the biggest holes on defense that need to be addressed? Defensive end is obviously up there, and a bunch went in the first round. Love the show, gentlemen. Share this shit. So, K-Dot, answering those questions, well, how would you answer those questions?
First and foremost, I'm going to make an admission. I really like the Giants going into this season. I love their draft. I'm sure you like the idea of Tyrone Tracy with a Cam Scatterboo combo.
I was very upset when they drafted Cam Scatterboo.
You like the idea of a front seven includes Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Abdul Carter.
Is maybe the nice D-line in football.
You like the idea of them having some issues in the secondary, so they introduced Javon Holland.
Yeah, they've done a lot.
They did some shit, man. Like, and if you believe them as far as their O-line is going to be better because of the injuries coming from last year and this year, maybe they got something. I don't love Jackson Dart because I don't love any of the quarterbacks in this particular draft. But that being said, if Brian Dable wanted his as close as I can get to Josh Allen clone, okay, Godspeed, son. I'm just saying they could be fun. They could be a little fun to watch. It brings me no joy in that. Just wanted to say that, and you know the Eagles they fucking did their thing,
right?
Beyond that, what the fuck else was there?
What holes do we need to address on defense? Have we addressed the defense? Us.
Look, the big thing for everybody, and whether or not I'm seeing most people either grade this a good draft or a bad draft, is the fact that we didn't address edge. Now, going into the draft, I know that we had an entire episode dedicated to edge because we also assumed it was probably the position of need beyond that and running back probably that we were looking at. I still stand pat that, like, if I hear what it is that I thought early on in the offseason, I didn't hear anything from the team. I just saw something and it made sense to me that they're going to be using Frankie Louvois in a lot more pass rush sort of situations. And he's going to be that kind of guy focal point. And you look at what we did with some of the defensive line guys that we picked up. It's not necessarily what you'd look for on paper if I was building a team on Madden to say that we addressed the position well enough. But it does create some interesting dynamics if you take a look at like what it is they were able to do with the defense with the elephant end and how it is that they need to make sure they're shoring up the run, because the run was the issue, not the pass rush last year. It was much more coverage breakdowns, quarterbacks being able to get the ball off. And I think they did a lot to adjust the run. And I think if the secondary plays better, we'll get more production out of the pass rush. That's the way I'm looking at it. So would I have loved to see them get a Trey Hendrickson? over the course of this offseason. Would I love to have seen Donovan Ezeraku in the burgundy and gold? Yeah, but I do think I'm going to give them a break in the sense of I think that they addressed a lot over the course of the season. I just want to see how it plays out. I think it could get interesting.
My answer to your question, Jess, is did they do enough? Depends on what you want. If it's to have a Super Bowl caliber defense, probably not, just to be totally honest. But if it is, did they address a whole lot? Yes, I think they did. And I also don't think they could have addressed absolutely everything in just one offseason. It would be irresponsible to, by the way. So if you were to just throw all the money, right? I think Milton Williams got Lord knows how much over in New England. Like if you were to just offer these free agents where you're paying 250 cents on the dollar, all this money, you could have addressed everything, but not all of them hit. And then you're stuck with bad contracts, right? I think that's why we see that we continuously do 1-2 year deals. In the case of Kinlaw, they drafted him. They know him from San Francisco. They brought him in on 3 years. The other guys they brought in on 3 years have done well so far. Frankie Louvu, Dorrance Armstrong. I trust them when they hand out the 3-year deal, right? So, but there are only so many barrels you have of that, right? And so they do that with Kinlaw. And I think next offseason, we continue to bolster that, maybe in the draft then, right? Like, but it's not going to be in just one offseason. So I'm cool with what they did. I love the Trey Amos pickup, right? I love what we did in terms of getting other bodies outside of Javon Kinlaw on the defensive line, and Dietrich Wise, Jacob Martin, Eddie Goldman. Like, you need bodies. And I like that they did that. Is it the quality that we wanted? It depends on who you ask. But I think that they are absolutely doing things the right way. That's how I feel about it.
I would, to add one thing to what it is you're saying, if we're like, I probably should have said this as far as the draft overview.
Yeah.
5 picks. And I believe they got 5 picks next year. Maybe one more.
Yeah, 5, maybe 6. Yeah.
Maybe 6. They weren't in a position to really move in this particular draft. So, like, what you should rest your laurels on as far as this team overall is that, do you think the team got better from last year to this year? I would say unquestionably yes.
Me too.
I hope your answer would be the same, anyone watching.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, did they reach for anything out of need compared to best player available for what it is they want, or that was on their board? From what I can see, it looks as though they stuck to their board. And that to me is a discipline I don't have. Ahmed doesn't have. These guys are showing that they're the professionals, and that's what I like. I don't love the majority of drafts that we've had in Washington. I could call it out for what the flashiest thing was, because I think Dan Snyder could probably also call out what the flashiest thing was. And what success did that lead us? We had 1 year with these guys, and we were playing in an NFC championship game. I understand not following people blindly, but god damn, have they done anything so far to not deserve our benefit of doubt?
Yeah, minimum this year, right? So we'll go ahead and see what happens. I think that there's more work to be done on defense, but I love what we've done on defense so far. I just always thought of it as a multi-year thing.
100%.
We now go over to the live stream that we had, and thank you guys for those that did join us. Really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun on it, and so thank you so much for it. Beginning with Coach Lombard once again, shout out. Nice show. I like the Conerly pick. Of course, you know how much I hate on Coleman. See, he did it again. It's a long and deep draft. Best of luck. Okay, so that's the comment from Coach. Any reaction, K-Dot?
Being kind.
We go to Big Papa Grizzly over here. Cliff left a note on Peter's desk asking him to draft Conerly Jr. It's awesome how in tune the front office and coaching staff are with each other. That I thought was super cool. When they revealed the note after the fact, they're like, oh, by the way, Cliff also, mind meld, wants the Oregon tackle. We get the Oregon tackle. You see other teams operate where they're just, it's divisive come pick time. I've yet to see that with this crew. Like, they seem to be on the same page and rowing in the same direction, which if you've worked at any company, that's so rare, right? Like, so it's so cool that these guys are all on the same page, K-Dot.
100%. And it goes even beyond that. When you hear what it is that when you hear Adam Peters talk about the way that they fell in love with Josh Conerly, it started with the scouts out west. He named one specific, and I wish I could remember his name, but he's like, it started with the scouts that we had out west, and they fell in love with him. And it's like, that is every facet of the team that all were pointing towards the same direction. This is the guy that we want. This is not when the scout found Josh Conerly, we didn't know when we were going to fucking pick, and we didn't know what was going to fall what way. It seems as though to their board, the way they have things, that guy was that high up on that board. The Trey Amos was that high up on that board. That to me is when we talk about the cohesiveness of this team, of this organization moving in one direction, and how little we've seen that over the course of the last 30 years, really. Even when there were grown-ups in the room, you might have had somebody doing everything they could behind the scenes to undermine them because they had their own agendas. Everyone is pointing in the right. I'm not going to say we're not even sure if it's right, but it's the same direction. And that to me is everything now.
Yeah. Again, it is really rare and hard to find. So appreciate the comment there, Big Papa. I got 2 thumbs up as well. Okay. And JG VQ6RD, who's now commented on a few in a row. Appreciate it. Shout out. It goes, hey guys, you were remarkably restrained at the Conerly pick. I doubt any other podcaster saw that pick coming with who was still available on the board. Once again, Josh Simmons available, Travion Henderson still available, Jahad Campbell available, Will Johnson available. Having reflected on the pick and hearing his stats and how he shut down Abdul Carter, I'm pretty happy with the pick. I agree with KDOT that they couldn't go wrong continuing to build up the trenches. Conerly could also be our left tackle of the future when Tunsil's contract expires, and we cannot afford to sign him with Jaden Daniels' big payday looming. That's a good point. I refuse to speculate on the number 61 pick. Of course, this is during the live stream, right? So or just after the live stream. So we don't know who we have at pick 61 there. If I said any of the expected positions, AP would probably take a kicker just to keep us guessing. Lastly, to all you regulars, stop fucking with KDOT. JJ McCarthy was my pick as well. At least let him get a season under his belt before you trash him. He probably would have been the number 1 QB this year. There you go. That's the comment from JG. Go ahead,
the last line.
But see, it's the wording that he tried to catch Ben Robinson on with the Champ Bailey thing. So just noting it goes both ways, JG. Go ahead.
You didn't need the last line.
I actually, because I was reading it, I was like, okay, yeah, no, it's fair. Yeah. You got to see JJ play before you're like, haha, you got to see him play. And then that last line, I'm like, okay, what do you mean by that?
You don't need to go that far. You don't need to go
Minnesota or
you just say jury's out, but you cannot take away that there is under no circumstances I'm picking any quarterback over Jaden Daniels and what it is we had over the course of the season. That was the right choice, period, point blank. End of argument, okay? Yeah. Trenches were never look, man, when in doubt, build up the fucking trenches. And it felt as though they knew going into this draft, we got 5 fucking picks. We got to make these shits count. And they looked after what it is they looked after in the sense of they got the best players that they could get for anything. You look at this offseason, they've addressed everything, not in a flashy way that we necessarily expected it to, not the name recognition we expected it to, but we also have to remember a couple things. Number one, as I've been saying leading up to the draft, no blinders. Don't get locked on one guy. This is not the team or the organization that's going to allow you to do that. The moment you do that, you bring yourself into disservice because you start dreaming and fantasizing about what this guy's going to do in the uniform for you. But at the end of the day, you have no idea where they're going to go with it or what their board looks like. Okay, so that's something to just always keep in mind with this particular coaching staff. It's just not keep an open mind. And I love the idea that we have no idea where they're going at any given point in time. It's fun. It's really, really fun.
It shows a differentiation between the groupthink and their board, which is huge, right? That is so pivotal to what we do. It's the same thing we saw. Actually, you like the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? So Pittsburgh, everyone was aligning Shador with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you and I both mentioned it. We're like, we haven't heard a thing out of Pittsburgh saying that. Just media marrying the two. Where it's it just works. You need a quarterback. He's talented. And you know what? It'll just work. and they not once said a word about that.
That should have been a topic today.
What'd you say?
Shador should have been a topic today.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk briefly after the pod if there is time, because certainly lots to talk about there. But the Commanders, same thing. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, edge, they'll just get edge," right?
Yep.
But not once did we hear from them that that's what was going to happen. In fact, as we got closer to the draft, you start hearing corner. And what do we end up doing? We end up getting an offensive lineman. And you may hate the Dallas Cowboys, but here's the thing. What they have done well over the years is, first round, they take these fucking offensive linemen, and then they end up having a really good offensive line. And it's annoying. It's boring for the fans over there, but all of a sudden they have Dak Prescott in a clean pocket. Imagine what it could be like if Jaden consistently has a clean pocket. There's a difference in talent, right? So like K-Dot opened with in that response, when in doubt, just beef up the offensive line, right? Can't go wrong doing that. So I love the pick. Absolutely.
The trenches are where you need to go. You can always do, when in doubt, look for the board. Who's your best trench guy? It'll always help the fucking team out as long as you hit on the pick.
If you win in the trenches, you rarely lose games. It's that simple. Especially when you got a quarterback like we do, man. That's what it is. Fight for old Dave G. Shout out. We got to defend these NFC East D lines and protect our top 5 quarterback. And this improves the run, in reference to the Josh Conerly Jr. pick. Jaden will have time to dissect secondaries like Brady for years to come. Love it. Love the pick, is what Fight for old Dave G is saying. And it is real, because even Coach Lombard replies, going, 4 of the top 5 pass rushers in the NFL are in the NFC East. Nice move by Adam Peters. It's a monstrous, if you go through each and every team in the NFC East, Kid already mentioned the Giants, right? It is a monstrous line on for each of them. We have to protect Jaden. There is no Super Bowl chance without the kid, right? So like, you have to protect the franchise first and foremost. So I'm very, very pleased with the pick once again. Go ahead.
If you're disappointed in anyone doing anything on this franchise to make Jaden's life easier or better, reevaluate what it is you're thinking.
Totally agree. Here's Bet Boy Tony C, who's very active, commenting during the live stream. Appreciate it, and shout out Bet Boy Tony C. Enjoyed watching the end of the first round with you fellas. I really liked our pick. Good offensive linemen are very hard to come by. We lucked up big time by landing Tunsil the way we did. Even the shittiest of teams don't let them hit the market and hardly ever trade them. Conerly raises the floor and the ceiling for the offensive line immediately. Nobody cuts backflips over this type of pick in the first round, but it's the necessary type of pick that grown folks need to make to get over the hump. Share this shit, bitches. What's also cool is just share the shit is really taken over. I mean, it has for some time, but you know, Bet Boy Tony C relatively new, and now is like share the shit, bitch. It's really cool. But excellent point on raising the floor and the ceiling of the offensive line, and that it is hard to find good offensive linemen in free agency. Almost never happens, kid.
Yeah, nobody wants to get rid of their good guys they have. You want to keep those. It's always the most like, it's why when you see like a Trent Williams leave here with such a kick in the fucking gut, you don't let go of that left tackle unless he's like
round pick or some shit like that.
Jesus Christ. Those are the positions that every offseason you see those guys just get re-signed with little to no fanfare. And because it's a foregone conclusion. If you got to do to those positions of need, you just plug and play. Just leave them the fuck alone. Like you cannot. It's so vital, especially when you got a quarterback that did. What is everyone's fucking takeaway from last year? The Jaden Daniels did a lot with a lot? No, he did a lot with a fucking little. And we need to make it as easy as possible because we can raise the ceiling. Imagine that, motherfuckers. We didn't see the ceiling of Jaden Daniels because we can have a better offensive line, better skills players. Like, come the fuck on. Like, that's what we want.
I think you said it perfectly. We conclude with not one, but 2 Jess Santo comments. Here it goes. The first one, love the Trey Amos pick. 2 areas of weakness or lack of depth have been drastically upgraded. Can't wait to see the resurrection of the Hogs. Fans have been waiting for this for years. As far as the DBs, I think they should try Sanders still at free safety. Have Barton strong safety, Noah Igbenogany at nickel, that have Lattimore and Amos on the outside. I think Sanders still would absolutely crush free safety. Of course, This is before rookie minicamp and OTAs. Got to see how fast Amos can learn and get Lattimore healthy again. I have faith in good Will Harris as well. Last year, we had the Slender Man, Taint Juice, and that weirdo Mike guy who had no idea what he was doing out there in the CB room. We have gotten better, longer, and thicker. Got some big, veiny, triumphant bastards running around out there. LFG, hell yeah, share this shit. Your reaction to that comment, K-Dot?
Fucking like no notes. That's the.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I can go to the last one then.
Yeah,
which is once again from Jesanto. Final thoughts on the draft. Our front office dropped some dick and did their goddamn thing. 3 of the players will most likely start, and if you include special teams, they will all contribute this year. This is all new for us longtime fans, having some straight killers in the front office. It feels damn good. She-gals, vagiants, and cow bitches, pull your panties up. The party is over. Whenever the Commanders are around, you sit down to piss, you hold on to our pockets on the field, and you will only get 10% of your commissary from here on out. This is our division, and you will not be crying for the COs when we are balls deep in your end zone. This is our house now, and for the foreseeable future. Bow down to a team that's greater than you. Raise hail. Share this shit. Go ahead, get up.
You goddamn right. Eagles fans, go talk to the tossed salad man. Let him know if you want it with or without jelly. It's over. Like, we know this, we are building something real. We are building something legitimate. Anyone of those other fan bases talking shit, short memories. And forget what it is that we were doing to everybody last year and how early we are in that process, man. It's, yeah, y'all all gonna be our bitches soon, and I can't wait for that day.
The other point on the Josh Conerly pick, and just speaking to what the front office has done, you know, Adam Peters, the scouts, everything. I think back to what Jim Harbaugh said when they were asking about offensive line versus wide receiver, and he basically tipped the pick and saying that it was going to be an offensive lineman, because that's the crew that affects literally every position on offense and defense. Because when you can sustain drives, you can control the clock. And when you control the clock, everyone gets more rest. It's easier. You wear down the opposing defense, and your defense is raring to fucking go and playing with the lead more often than not. So absolutely love what they've done. Jess, love the energy and love the general positivity coming from our fan base right now. And the understanding. I was almost anticipating people being like, man, fuck, we needed to get the edge. We never got the edge. I was told we needed the edge. And it is really cool to see us as fans all rowing in the same direction, going, that was a really good draft overall. We took the best player available. We trust our front office and GM to do their thing, and we're not questioning it that much so far because he's earned the benefit of the doubt. Should that change? Of course, question it, and you will have every right to do so. Still do. But I like that people are going, hey, you know what? I don't maybe get it, but I trust that guy. And so it's just been great.
No, it's great. We built a nice, wonderful ecosystem here. I mean, you're welcome on the hands of my marketing abilities. You know, share this shit. Clarendon, A-Train. It all sticks because it's all real. It's all true. And our fan base knows it. Our fans know it. We got look, is a reason every time one of these sons of bitches come and drop a comment that we tell them off. Go fuck yourselves. Go somewhere else. We need people here that got some goddamn common sense. And there's a common sense way to look at sports. It's not the way the Philadelphia Eagles fans call in on sports radio. First time, long time, Mike. Fuck them assholes. All right. It's we got something here. All right. This is not, we're not doing this for clicks. Okay. We're doing this to actually look.
Now you look at our views. We most certainly are not.
We can do more for clicks.
We can. And we will.
You know what, Jess? We're dropping dicks next episode.
Oh my gosh.
On Patreon.
No, absolutely. On Patreon. Absolutely love the community we built. And it's all because of you guys. So we really appreciate you guys listening to us each episode. Means a lot. And share this shit. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. And like I had mentioned, thank you guys so much for listening, as you always do. And if you enjoy the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And K-Dot?
spelled draft wrong in the top corner. It says DAFT.
The whole time. Share this shit anyway. I'm gonna say it.
Share this
shit.
And follow us on Patreon. It's you get 2 months for $5.99 on account of our dick sizes. Like, we are the shit. Come follow us. Give us some money. Woo! What are we doing? Are we doing after the pod?
After the pod starts right.
Oh shit.
Now. Hey, good job.
All right, you had a Jaden Daniels story.
Yes. Okay. So, I was playing futsal with some friends. So it's soccer basically, just for the audience. Playing soccer with friends, and a couple of them work in media. And by the way, looking at Super Bowl credentials, K-Dot, apparently they don't necessarily hand it out like candy, but I think we could probably get it considering that we have a portfolio of episodes and stuff like that. So something we should look into. Okay.
We should look into that.
Be pretty sweet to go. I think it's San Francisco next year. And they were talking about going to there's a Pepsi party and Fanatics party and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that sounds so cool. Like, I'm sure Kato and I would really enjoy meeting all these people and just being a part of it. Like, that would be sweet for Super Bowl week.
It'd be last time when A-Train makes an appearance, but okay.
Well, it would be a hell of a time, huh? And so then, yeah, we've never actually banned anyone from the Super Bowl. And one of the cool stories I heard was, so one of the guys has a soccer podcast actually, but he was over there during Super Bowl week and he was interviewing players around which teams they like, right? And being from DC, he saw Jaden Daniels and was like, hey, would love to be able to talk to Jaden. And Jaden's agent is his mom. Mom is like, hey, we're doing the Pepsi stuff today. It's just going to be kind of difficult. Jaden actually goes, hey, the kid's from DC. Let me talk to him for 5 minutes. It's fine. So Jaden does. They chat about stuff and says thank you and goes about his day. Both of them, for that matter. And then hours later, Jaden comes back to him, goes, hey, you guys cool if I just chill by your booth or behind or something like that, just because people are starting to bother me, right? Just need a sort of safe space. And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So he's sitting there in the back. It's a covered area. And K-Dot, I almost got emotional hearing this. He was watching film of the Eagles game.
Get the fuck out.
He was watching film of the Eagles game with his time off, just trying to get away from people. I literally was just floored hearing that. So he's in the back of this booth, just watching the NFC Championship game. He's built different, man. I legitimately had a tear. They were like, oh my God, are you crying? I was just like, it's different. You don't know what all we've been through.
They didn't deserve that. We deserve that.
Yeah.
they couldn't even comprehend how special that is.
I was just like, oh my God. That is amazing. So that's the Jaden Daniels story I wanted to share. I just thought it was the coolest thing. Yeah.
No, I mean, look, if anybody wants to know anything about Jaden Daniels, please clip that and make that part go fucking viral, because that's the shit right there that we want to hear about Jaden Daniels, is that this dude lives and breathes this game. I mean, we see what he's trying to do as far as having an outside life. I think mom's putting the clamps down on that shit. So you do what you can.
Hey, it's been working so far.
Hey, it's working.
I'm pro Mama Jaden. I'm pro Mama Jaden. Everybody else oh my God,
right now.
He balling. You do what you need to do.
Rock and roll. And to know that you got a quarterback that we have so much faith in, and the way he returns it is he's taking it fucking seriously and he's doing his goddamn job. It's that's what you want to hear from a guy. You don't want to hear that it's been forced to do it. You don't want to hear that it's too much for them. This is a dude that wants to be the best that he can be at something. And that's what you hear from the special players. That's what you hear from the greats. Honestly.
Yeah. So just wanted to drop that story as we were talking during the draft recap, because it came to mind. And I was just like,
that's so dope.
I forgot how cool that story was. I meant to share it sooner, while also maintaining anonymity for people in case they're like, what? You said what? So it was cool though. Very, very cool. Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Bit of a big topic, because that was a hell of a fall. Right. So we had Ben Robinson on author of Grind in the Box, look at the mock draft data. And as you get closer to draft day, it's like, okay, maybe it's end of the first round. Somebody trades up for him. Fine. Round 5 was, I think, a surprise to a hell of a lot of people, K-Dot. Like, that was something.
Here's what I'm coupling this with, okay?
Here we go.
I still listen to Deion Sanders' album. Must Be the Money is in my rotation, okay? I also have a very deep love-hate relationship with Deion. Just take that, put it to the side for a second, okay?
I will. It's there.
Shedeur Sanders. I know I've said it. I've had to have said it on this podcast. I know I have been very loud about it. Anybody that's talked to me about draft prep going into this year, I would not have selected not one of these goddamn quarterbacks out of this draft. If I was a coach and my job was not on the hot seat, I am fully prepared to have a bridge quarterback, Mason Rudolph, like Mike Tomlin's doing, and then rolling with that, and just looking at next year when Archie becomes available. Okay, so like, there's that.
Yeah.
I hate Shedeur's tape. Like, I can't look. There's one thing for all the prognosticators to say that, all right, even on his worst day, he's a second, maybe third from the worst of people's pick.
Mm-hmm.
To see him fly to 5 means that there's something else there. It can't just be the talent piece of it, right? So you try to attribute, all right, what that is. Do I think that there's a bit of a racial element? Yeah, maybe, but it's hard to wrap your head around that when I also didn't like his fucking tape. And like, even though I want to draw the parallels between like what Archie did for Eli when it came to that, Eli's tape was a lot better than Shedeur Sanders' tape. You could get away with some shit if you're that fucking good a prospect. He wasn't to me. Like, I've yet to see, anytime I ask anybody to send me some Shedeur tape, like to try to convince me, all my takeaways are, wow, his wide receivers are cool. Like,
Jimmy Horn Jr. We got him in the mock draft, 7th round. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I see. Or I'm like, God damn, that defense didn't really play all that well. That's a huge, that was a big window to throw that football into. The only time I got anything that was like giving him any credit was some of the sideline throws over the shoulder. But even that, from a timing standpoint, I saw the receivers get a pretty good lead on the defensive back coming out of his fucking route. That it was like, all right, you got a window. It didn't feel like you threw them open as much as it was just like the ball. It was a nice looking ball that got there, and I give him credit for that. But that, to me, I've seen every quarterback that's been a part.
So let me ask you this: his last name isn't Sanders. He's a Colorado quarterback. He had the season that he did. He had the season prior that he did as well. You saw the tape. What round would you take him in?
Okay, if his name isn't Sanders, Travis Hunter's not playing with him. If Travis Hunter's not playing with him, and they don't have the team that they have, I don't think he's playing.
Okay.
That's just me, and I know that
that's fine. I mean, like, you're allowed to have that take. I think that,
and I think he's a good dude. I think he's a good dude. I really do. I'm rooting for him.
I think he is too. I also think I absolutely love the way he handled Thursday night, Friday. Like, in that respect, he's done all the right things. My shock was, how did the media get this so wrong? Right? Like, there have been thousands of prospects over the years.
Right.
And there have been slides. There have been slides for sure. Some even 2 rounds later. This was crazy, right? Because they were talking about him in the first round. And no one was like, I think he may slip out. In fact, K-Dot, I think you and I were probably some of the first people doing podcasts be like, hey, I think he may slip. Like, and we did this a week before everybody else started speculating he may slip. It was just like, I'm beginning to wonder, right? Then you hear the pre-draft stuff, that the interviews, like maybe he's angling to go somewhere with the Pittsburgh Steelers, or when he's with, who was it? Max Crosby on his podcast. And, okay, what receivers do you like? I like George Pickens, I like DK Metcalf. You know, it's like, okay, he's angling for Pittsburgh. Prior to that, he's wearing New York Giants colored cleats saying, hey, stay tuned. I'm giving a hint about where I'm going to go. Like, I think there was a certain level of arrogance that people didn't like about him when it came to the pre-draft interviews. I think it sounded like he was angling to go certain places and shutting the door on other places based on pre-draft interviews, where he's like, you guys already have a quarterback. Why would I really give you a full 100% effort in this thing? Like, I buy that being a possibility.
Right.
It's just, 5? Like, I just wasn't anticipating it to be that crazy. Like, that's where I think Deion looming as a possible candidate to like coach at some point scares people.
We joked about it a lot last offseason when we were talking about the Cowboys. What did I say my dream was? It was that they would draft Shador and then Deion would be in the wings about to get the head coach fired.
There you go. Right? Yeah.
So, like, look, there is an absolute issue that America has with confident black men.
Yes.
It is what it is. Like, America does have an issue with that. They want you to kind of do things.
Remember how much they love Cam Newton? Oh my God, the people absolutely hated him. Jeez.
But my thing is that when it comes to an NFL team, look, you could talk about the Colin Kaepernick situation, which is something. You could talk about a lot of other things as far from a race standpoint, or even a thinking out of the box standpoint. They're terrible at doing. But God damn it, the amount of people that I've seen had off the field issues, the amount of people that I've seen had character issues, had character flaws and everything else, and they still get drafted, they still get drafted high. Do you know why? Oh, here's the other thing. Do you know why you only hear about the character issue guys in like the first and second round? Because if you're not that fucking talented, you're not getting fucking picked. Like you got to be that talented.
Oh, that's true. That's a really good point. Yeah.
So like, and once again, Shador's done none of those things, right? But if there's any questions about anything,
we saw like Mike Green. He was supposed to go mid-first round. All of a sudden, you hear more about this, and he slips to the end of the second.
But Mike Green has tape.
Well, that's exactly to your point. So we hear about the character concerns, and a second is when he gets drafted.
So like everybody kept talking about Shador all this season, and like I've been in many conversations with people that are like, oh yeah, man, he looks like I see him as like a second round. I'm like, dude, I wouldn't draft him. Like I might if he was in the 5th or 6th round at that point, just from a value standpoint. All right, I'll do it just because maybe even from a trade bait standpoint, a year from then, I'll get more than what I thought he was worth, right? But it's like there was somebody dropped something that ended up being a fake Reddit, I think, post where they were talking about one of the interviews that Shador gave, and the dude threw out every terrible cliche you could find. He said that Shador showed up with cologne, that one of the GMs actually wanted to go take a walk outside because he thought somebody might pass out. They said he had an entourage with 30-something people. They said that they asked him what it is he wanted to be. He said mayor of the city in 3 years, and he laughed at himself. And at the end, it was this big thing about teams don't want guys like Deion Sanders involved around the team, these flashy, not good team players, the one that care more about this, care more about that. I read that shit. It was the biggest racism dog whistle I have read in quite some time around anything from a sports standpoint. Or even the ones that you'll see every once in a while. Teams want quarterbacks like Cam Ward to act this way and do this thing and that thing. What bothers me is that every time one of those posts go up, they almost go viral with how many people are willing to believe that bullshit.
Yeah.
There's a problem. Like, there's no getting around it. But I still can't square. It'll always go to me that, like, he, in my opinion, was just not that good a prospect. I just didn't see him being that guy. Like, I truly believe if his name isn't Sanders, that he struggles to get on some teams. I think that, like, depending on what conference he's in, maybe he has a good career, but I don't think anybody's surprised by the slide at this particular point in time. I just don't think that's the case.
I think plenty of people are surprised at the slide at this particular point in time.
I said if he wasn't a Sanders.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah.
No, I don't. You're right. You're 100% right there.
Yeah, I don't think that we'd be having this conversation at all. And
no, we wouldn't have had the media buzz around him either. Yeah.
But and also Colorado would not have been what it is. And that doesn't take away from the fact that it was. And it also doesn't take away from the fact that, like, even when we were talking about Jaden Daniels, and I was like, well, look at his offensive line. Look at the wide receivers he has. Look at the amount of talent he has. I get it. But when I turned on a Jaden Daniels tape, not only could I see the receivers were talented, but I could see, oh, he's making plays too.
They're making each other better. Yeah.
I didn't see that from Shador. And look, anyone, Coach Lombard, anybody out there, if you've got tape that you could show me on Shador to change my mind, I am more than willing to have it. I'm rooting for the kid. I want reasons to believe he's going to succeed. Dylan Sampson's in Cleveland. I want them to do good. So, like, I want Shador to be something. Yeah. Like, I also want, as a black man in America, I kind of want to be able to say fuck you to everybody and all these people that had all these guesses and prognostication about who he is to come out and perform.
Oh, man. the prank phone call as well was bullshit.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
By the way, that was they actually found out who that was. I don't know if you kept up with the story. Insane that it was a defensive coordinator's son.
Jeff
Absolutely
Albert's
outrageous. I am absolutely rooting for Shedeur. Just to be clear, like Mernal and I were talking on the phone, and we were like, we've been up and down on the guy. Like sometimes we're like, all right, cool, like Shedeur. Other times like, he's kind of pissing me off right now. But like after all this, it was like, no, we are absolutely rooting for this guy. Like, I hope he does well. I hope he does really, really well. I think seeing here's what it was for me. I think seeing, and this happened for a lot of people, the Dillon Gabriel pick in particular, I do feel bad for Dillon Gabriel that his pick wasn't celebrated. And it was like, oh, really? Over Shedeur? Like, that's what it turned into, right? Like, it just did. The Tyler Shuck pick for the Saints, they're like, this guy's broken his leg 3 times. He's going to turn 26. Great pick. Like, come on. Like, it's relative to the other quarterbacks in this class where you're just like, okay, was he really 6th best over here? But then I think we get into other stuff. And Jonathan Jones at CBS Sports did a really, really nice, there was a video that he put out of like why this may have happened. He talked about the pre-draft process and the interviews, which I think has to factor in once you get to round 5. But like retiring his number at Colorado, right? Like, what did they do to deserve that? Right? Like, I know that, well, Travis Hunter absolutely did. He won the fucking Heisman and he played both sides of the ball at an elite level. His makes sense. Shedeur's did not. No. And so I think if you look at that, you look at maybe dad's involvement, right? And making that happen, or even if it's not, people will speculate it. Like, retiring his number did not make sense. It just didn't. They did not go on to the college football playoff. They didn't win a national championship. Heck, even if they had lost a national championship, I could be like, maybe. They didn't even get that close, right? But they retired it. So I think that there was a whole lot involved with this that makes me think it's not just the tape. It is sort of where I'm coming from. It's not just the tape. And that he actually does have some okay tape, right? Like, 5th, that's why I'm like 5th is like, yeah.
I'm not even going that far. I really do think that there is a factor of people. Fuck. I don't want to say that.
You don't have to.
Do I? Look. Yes, everything played a factor, whether or not you believe it or you don't believe it. Enough of stuff that came out during his pre-draft selection or pre-draft aspect, the same way I talked about those 2 posts that went viral. I think enough people can tell each other campfire stories about a particular guy and what it is, their preconceived notions is of the guy. And that could be enough to take him off the board for a lot of people that might have even looked at him at all.
Agreed.
But to me, it's like, regardless of what you think of Shedeur, there's a different conversation between Shiloh and Shedeur as far as baggage being brought to the team. And it's the same fucking father, right? So like, no one really cares about what Tampa Bay, I think, is who signed his brother.
I haven't even kept up with it. There wasn't media fanfare around it, to your point. Yeah.
He did one little thing where he put on the fucking Tampa Bay hat, like next to his dad. And his dad was like, he was proud of him. And that was the end all be all. He doesn't carry himself the same way that Shedeur carries himself, or has the entourage or the followers or the NIL deals or the money. Sure. There is an aspect of some of these guys are showing up. Unlike what it used to be, they're stars. They're paid stars now. Mm-hmm. And they expect to be treated a particular sort of way. And I think that there's an aspect of what Deion Sanders did coming into the league that I've always, to be able to have the gall to call yourself primetime coming into the fucking league and like basically staking your fucking claim, and you lived up to it. There might not be, as far as from a shit talking but back it up standpoint, Deion's top 5 all time, Muhammad Ali, maybe.
Dude, he played 2 sports in one day, 2 pro sports in one day. Like, that's insane.
Motherfucker's insane, right? Like, but you got to be able to, if you're going to talk your shit, like, and everybody's seeing some of the viral videos like Shedeur after games talking, I heard you doing all that talking on Instagram. Where you at now? And it's like, I don't want that. Right. If I'm going to deal with that, right? If I'm going to deal with any part of that, then your tape better be legit.
It better be incredible. It better be like K-Dot and I are both like, holy, what we were for Jaden. Where it was like, dude, this guy, like, you got to make it really hard to pass up.
Right? Like do that. But if you're going to be, if you're going to have at best, tape, and then you do all the rest of the shit.
No, that's fair.
Why the fuck am I gonna pick you if you're gonna cause all this? If I gotta worry about the fact that like you don't get playing time, and it's gonna be on your Instagram account. No team wants that from anybody. No team wants that fucking headache. No team wants, hey, I'm gonna have a camera crew with me because I make money outside of this, and I gotta be able to do what it is I gotta do because I got a brand I gotta take care of. I got nothing wrong with that. If you got a brand worth it, like if you got a brand that the tape shows, I come to play. If it shows, hey, at best, you might be a middling starter. Most likely you're a backup, probably at best. How the fuck do I want that on my goddamn team? You're not gonna make me any more money. Like, what are we doing? Like, I got a team I got to take care of. So like, that's what I look at with the Shedeur thing. No, I don't think that people should be held back because of like non-bad things they do off the field. There's nothing wrong that Shedeur is doing. It's just if you're going to be outside of the norm, period. Come correct on the playing field, motherfucker.
No, that's fair.
That
has to be the prerequisite.
And you know what the craziest thing is? Travis Hunter's the most humble motherfucker you could possibly meet.
That is also true.
Right?
He even did that video with the guy who, like, you remember he got knocked out by that Colorado State player? It was a cheap shot.
Yeah.
Right? And they end up, like, going bowling together or something like that. And they, like, become, like, it was crazy. I was like, dude, this
Travis
guy is
has confidence, but in the same second, he's got that aw shucksness of him, right? Like, there was all that talk about his girlfriend and stuff that was out on Black.
Oh, my
nuts.
gosh. I forgot.
But it's like,
that. Yeah.
when Travis comes and he's like, I just want to play football. I just want to do this. I want to do that.
Not just football. Have you seen him play basketball?
The motherfucker can
Oh
ball.
my Lord.
That to me,
he looks smooth, man.
If
It's
Shedeur
crazy.
had tape that didn't just prove, all Shedeur's tape proved to me was how great Travis Hunter is. Like,
guys,
that's what it did
also,
to me.
I know we're talking about Shedeur and we are talking about Travis. Seriously, if you haven't seen Travis Hunter play basketball, it's out there. Watch it. It is crazy.
Athlete.
People are like, maybe he's playing the wrong sport. He looks that good.
He's a generational athlete. Like you look at, this is why, like, when Benjamin was on and he made the Champ Bailey comparison, Champ wasn't the two side.
He's not this
football player. He's not this.
Right.
Charles Woodson wasn't this necessarily. Like, this is Dion. This is Bo Jackson if he wanted to play whatever it is.
And the Browns traded the pick.
Well, thank you. No shit. Thank you so very much. There's been so much my heart could take if Cleveland also had him on that fucking roster. I can't do that. I couldn't do that. No one deserves that. Travis is too good a dude to deserve that. Yeah, it's bad. And the best thing is the look of the war room when they drafted.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Is it that bad?
No, they're all just, you see, what's his name? The head coach?
Stefanski.
Look, their GM is looking dead out in the camera, not reacting. And Stefanski's.
Oh, wow. They're just.
Jimmy Haslam made a call. And when you hear the first thing the GM says after I just talked to Shedeur on the phone. He knows he's got to earn it. He's got to come in here. He's got to work. He's got to do whatever. I'm like, everyone bought the shit about what it is that happened off the field. And I think that is a conversation that needs to happen. Not every team interviewed a Shedeur Sanders. And I did hear that some teams were impressed with his interview, but might not have been in a position where they need a quarterback. They just met with him to do their due diligence.
Yeah.
There is something that happened where word came out about one or two of those meetings that spread like fucking wildfire around these boys club groups or whatever the fuck that happened, and it spiraled it out of control. That's what I think is the diagnosis of what happened with Shedeur Sanders.
That's fair. And I think we'll leave it on that note also because it looks like I've done this podcast in 2 different time zones. So we're going to go ahead and I need to turn this around and put it out there. So thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. And we will see you. I think we're planning on a Friday, 2 p.m. episode. You'll know if we don't because it won't be out. But the plan is
History of the Commanders.
History of the Commanders is the plan. So until then, take it easy and thanks for listening.
Bye, everybody.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.